Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of D'ART Shtajio's vlog, episode 20.
Start episode 20 of our vlog. Welcome back, everybody. I think in the comment section that we got, what was it, the consensus was it's vlog.
More people apparently liked vlog, but just because you like something doesn't make it right.
Doesn't make it right.
So I actually don't know what today's topic is yet.
Right. So
what is the topic?
So we're gonna just choose directly from one of you guys comments here, and I thought it was a really cool question, or it's interesting because I don't know if he meant it to be a question, but reading through his comments. So Studio Artifacts, he had a really long comment. So I'm not going to read your whole comment, Studio Artifacts, but please go back to vlog 19 and check out Studio Artifacts comments. But in there, at the end, what I kind of got from his comment was, how can you? He said, like, you know, is there such thing as digging in too soon? I think that was his own words. And from that, I think what he's asking is, how can you know you truly love something if that's the only thing you've ever done? And I was like, that's a very interesting.
So it's a continuation of last week's kind of topic, but what we're asking now is like a question. So last week we described how you have to go home and you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and feel like, today I did the thing that I at least enjoyed the most. There's nothing else I would rather do. That was kind of cool. So someone's comment was, could you think you've arrived at that decision too soon and then just stick with something that's actually not your calling?
I guess that's like, how would you, so that Henry said, right, like, I would go home and I'd say there's nothing else I'd rather do, but it's like, well, how would you know there's nothing else I'd rather do if you've never done anything else? And that's pretty interesting.
Well, for me, this is an easy question, but let's see where it goes, right, once we start talking. For me, I mean, you could be lying to yourself, and like, for example, if your parents force something on you, and maybe you did like it when you were younger, playing tennis. Your parents are both professional tennis players or something, so they're like, here's a tennis racket when you're a kid, right? So when you're 12, you've been playing tennis for years already, and you think tennis is your destiny, right? Or art or whatever. I think still deep down you know if that's true or not. Like, are you genuinely happy with this and super pleased that your parents introduced you to this, and you yourself also can't wait to have a lifetime as a professional tennis player? Or deep down, do you know at some point, like you see in the drama movies, you're probably going to have a confrontation with your parents like, this isn't my path, Mom. And I think deep down you probably know. So if you decide super early, like we both said, like in elementary school, we knew like, oh, I'm going to be an artist, right?
Preschool, by the way.
Preschool?
I knew as soon as I was born.
I mean, I probably did too. I specifically remembered, actually, in first grade, they asked me, and I'm sure this is different for every just school, like from kindergarten, they specifically asked, what do you want to do? Just as like I don't think you had to answer. It was just like, how does the child react to this answer? And even then, immediately after kindergarten, I was like, an artist, right? So similar, right? But, you know, I was saying that not because or let's put it this way. If at any point in my life I felt like that wasn't the case, I wouldn't be so stubborn as to say, well, I said in first grade I was going to do it, so now I have to stick through it. Like, that's why you go home and you ask yourself that before you go to sleep, right? Because the answer can change at some point. One day I could go home and be like, wow, animation isn't the thing I wanted to be doing the most today. So even now, I mean, hypothetically, that could happen when I'm 50 or something, right? So that's why you have to keep asking yourself. But I think you do just kind of know. It's really a personal thing between you and yourself, right? It's not like you trying to convince anyone else of it.
That's interesting, because I had a different opinion at first until I heard what you said. And then now my opinion switched back. So I think you just know. It's weird though, but let's play devil's advocate. Okay. Let's just say if there was this other side, there's probably a universe where like somehow you're doing the wrong thing, and and you never know, right? And so, okay, is that possible? So if you start off, and I like the example that you gave, right, where it's like your parents kind of say, hey, why don't you try this or something? So, and then that's just kind of what you set out to do. But then perhaps, I don't know, maybe our viewers would then think about that. We'll say, well, hey, but that's not something that you found by yourself. So of course it's possible that you might just fall out of love with it because it wasn't even something that you initially, you didn't even initiate that interest in it, right? Like it was given to you. So let's just let's put that to the side and let's not consider that, right? So because in order for you to be truly passionate about something, I think it has to be something you found yourself. Organically, yeah. It can be introduced, but even then you still have to kind of organically go into it. But okay, so you start off when you're a kid and you know, let's just say you're an animator or illustrator or something, and you think that this is what I want to do forever, and then you know, you win, because the only way that I think you can dig in, right? So yeah, you shut out the outside world. So like no matter what happens, even though like you're like, oh shoot, I like playing baseball with my friends. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go home and I'm going to draw because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be practicing drawing right now. And then even though like, you know, your friends are going out to play baseball, you've got a glove and stuff or whatever, but you don't look at it. So I think that would be kind of considered digging in maybe, because it's like there are these other possible callings around you, but you're kind of consciously blocking them out. And so I think in that sense, yeah, it's like, because like what Henry said, which is kind of like, you know, I'm supposed to be playing devil's advocate now, but I think that if there was something else that you wanted to do, that you were actually truly passionate about, somehow it would seep in, and then you would start to kind of go off. But the only way that, if you dig in, and then so now you're just like, no, even though I like this, I'm not going to kind of succumb to it. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to I'm not even going to entertain the idea of playing baseball right now because I'm an artist. I'm destined to be an artist. And I think that's interesting because that actually would mean that maybe you're lying to yourself, right?
Well, the only thing I could, that when you were saying that, it occurred to me, like, in what universe does that even really happen, where it's like, I'm going to abandon all the fun things all my friends are doing and just do my one thing that I decided from elementary school forever, right? Because even us, who I think would fall into the category of we're super dedicated and always were, right? We've done lots of stuff. Like, through life, you end up doing stuff. I guess, hypothetically, if you were living in a very small town, right, and you decided when you were very young this is what you want to do, and you really never moved out of the few block radius and like just kept doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, then maybe you didn't give yourself enough chance. Then maybe that comment is valid, right? Like maybe all of a sudden you wake up, you're 35, and it's like, man, I've literally never done anything but that one thing. Should I have tried a couple things, right? But barring that situation, I think you've probably been introduced to some other stuff. So me, for example, and I know this is, you know, also... this also applies to you. The word applies would not come out there. This also applies to you. Like, I've worked as a busboy. I've worked as what is it, like an art teacher, like an assistant art teacher. I've worked as English teacher coming to Japan. I've worked as like computer monitor, right, in college, and then video store like clerk at multiple different video store chains. I've worked just like doing lots of things, and then even within the art field, you know, when I was working as just a freelancer in New York, occasionally the job would be like a After Effects job or a video editing job. This one is an animation, Henry, but for, you know, a weekend, could you edit something? So I've been introduced to doing lots of things just naturally through life. So if one of those suddenly interested me way more than animation, I would have just known it, right? A light bulb would have gone off. But it's specifically actually because I've done those things that I always went home and I could reaffirm that it was animation that I wanted to do, right? Because it'd be like, I taught English all day. I taught English for, you know, we've done this vlog for a while now, and we talked in the early ones about how we came to Japan and then worked as an English teacher. So I was working as an English teacher in rural Japan. That's a really unique and cool experience, right? I'm happy I had that experience. But and there's a person out there, probably a lot of people out there, that would do that job and then feel like, oh my God, I'm doing what I love. Like I'm working in the rural countryside of a foreign country. This interests me so much. I can't wait to learn this language, learn this culture that's unfamiliar with me, and then also learn teaching, you know, and like the best way to actually teach language. No doubt there are people that's their calling. But for me, I would go home every day, and even though I'm doing this really cool thing, I would still be like, man, I need to get to Tokyo and I need to work in animation.
That is kind of true, because even when I was teaching English, I found ways to draw, right? So I would draw illustrations for all of my students and things like that. Yeah, and I think the thing that you truly like to do will always kind of just keep drawing you into it. Yeah. And then, like you said, like I think throughout life, you naturally do, just because of what life is, right? So you naturally do have other experiences, and you're introduced to many, many things, right? And and that's kind of what the educational system's purpose is, right? To introduce you to science and math and singing and whatever, right? And everything, so that you can experience things, try things out, and then see what it is that you really, or like, reaffirm that this is really what you want to do, and that this is something you like doing. And then, you know, so you're constantly questioning yourself. I'd say, to go back to the studio artifacts, like, I think you digging in too soon in the previous example that I gave, where it's like you just shut the world out, I think that is incorrect. Like, so you shouldn't stop yourself from exploring and realize and like just experiencing the world while you're chasing your passion, or trying to figure out what it is that you're passionate about. You know, because that is the only way that you can truly know, right? Like what you're passionate about is by having these different things come your way, and then when you consciously decide that this is not what you want to do, then that's how you know that this is the thing that you're passionate about. And so I think that's the best. Oh, look who
fan favorite Steven just arrived.
Say off camera.
Steven, Steven, we're continuing our conversation from last week's do you have to love what you do? And we're asking, do you think you can find, or think you found your calling too early in life?
Like, is it possible to?
When did you realize or do you not love what you do? Is that the conclusion?
Well, for me, it's. I think, you can certainly love what you do, of course. For me, animation and drawing and art in general is always sort of innate in nature. So, like, as far back as I can remember, not to sound too cliche, I was always drawing something.
Yeah, we're the same.
Yeah, I was like doing Ninja Turtles or Transformers or Sailor Moon or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, not to go off my last tangent, but I think there's people confuse love with infatuation. So, like, there's always a honeymoon phase to whatever you do, whether it's a new relationship or a new job. So, like, maybe you get a new job with all these benefits and salary, and you travel a bunch, and they're like, I love this job, right? You're just in the honeymoon phase. You're infatuated with all the trappings that come with it. Yeah. It's your love will be defined by the moments when things aren't going so well in that job. Yeah. Right? And then you're still able to hold on and still, like, look and say, you know what, I can't see myself doing anything else.
And that's how you know that it's love and not infatuation.
I have an interesting question, follow-up to what you've posted, what you've mentioned, though. So you are definitely the guy that comes on here so far in these last couple conversations and, told it like it is, which is like, you're kind of a downer in our dreamy world.
Yeah, right.
But fair enough, right? However, you have been doing art for a long time, and you still seem to be wanting to do it into the future. So similarly to us, even though your attitude is different, you are pretty dug into an art career. Correct?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so that's interesting. So there is something that keeps you attached to that life through thick and thin.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I decided, like, okay, I'm not, it's like that Charles Schultz, I mean, the guy that did Peanuts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think, like, he was, like, 91 or something like that, and he was like, okay, I think I'm going to stop doing Peanuts and stuff like that. And literally, like, the day after he stopped doing Peanuts, he died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There is something to that. I've read that, like, I guess it's, well, no,
I guess my point is saying, like, if I said I'm not doing animation, I would just, like, do, like, Red Was Here, and just, like, or something like that. Like, 'cause I can't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah.
Really.
So do you think it's possible to dig in too soon? Like, because so the topic is like, is it possible that you kind of decided that something you're passionate about something before, like, too soon, because you haven't tried anything else? So how would you really know that you're passionate about this thing?
Well, I think that's where it goes to infatuation, right? I love this person. I'm gonna marry this person, and they didn't get enough world experience to have like a litany of other people that they could experience, right? So then, and that's my point. So to answer your question, yeah, I think it is possible to dig in too soon. Like I'll give you an example. There's these two girls in my university, and they had like a great opportunity to like over the summer to go into.
Oh no! Okay.
Oh no! To get with me. To work with at Disney.
Oh, okay.
Because they love Disney. Because like even in classes they would be drawing Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, and they were pretty good at like replicating what they would see on screen and stuff like that. And they came back like the next semester, and they like 2 weeks into the semester they just sort of dropped out of the animation major. They consulted with professors, and then like one became a photography major, and the other one I think like because they loved it so much the first year, like their sophomore year, but then by their junior year, they were doing other things. So they got that exposure, that real life of like, this is what it means to actually be an animator or work in the industry.
So somehow something happened that then showed them that this really wasn't their passion.
Yeah, and so in that case, they felt they dug in too soon. So in that situation, it was safe for them because they were in the confines of the university life. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to experiment, make mistakes. But if you're talking about like the real world, like starting a new business, like I'm gonna open up a squid only restaurant. You know, we just serve only squid.
So actually, then
that was a Tales from the Crypt episode.
I understand what you're saying a little bit more now. That was a better explanation than last week. No, because in my college too, like there was a lot of people. I mean, I think everyone has this experience.
Well, I'm so
there's tons of people. There's tons of people that like are super hyped studying something, and then they just never become a professional, or they quit the course or whatever, right? Or animation students that graduated, didn't get a freelance job within the first few months, and then it's like, well, I guess I can't make a living at this, and then they do something else. I couldn't get a freelance job the first few months after I graduated either. Like it took me like almost half a year before I got one single little job, right? And yet there was never a point where I was like, oh no, maybe I made a wrong decision, right? Whereas for these people, they were super hyped about it, but then when they see how hard it is, suddenly they don't want to. I feel like at the end of the day, those are people that are just looking at what makes them happy and excited right in front of them, right in front of their face, right? As opposed to going home and asking the question that we asked, like,
reaffirming.
It is today. Did today I do the thing that I am positive I feel like there is nothing more I rather would have done, right? Even if I failed and I didn't get that job today, right? You just graduate college, you're a couple months out, you still haven't gotten a job, but you tried all day to get the freelance job, right? Okay, I'm going to sleep, I'm really frustrated, but was there anything I would have rather done than tried my best at getting an animation job? And our answers were always, yours included, I believe, no, there's nothing more. That's why I'm going to wake up tomorrow and do it again, right? Whereas them, they were like, well, yeah, of course, heck, I'd rather be working at insert whatever they ended up doing. And then that, right?
And I think it's like, well, not to give too much of my personal life, but like when I was in high school, my major was music, because that was what my dad wanted me to do, right? So I majored in playing the sax, so jazz and blues and classic and stuff. And that was the only thing I started. I actually didn't draw in high school anymore. So even though I drew in elementary school, like once I got to high school, like I wasn't allowed to draw anymore. And so like my sketchbooks were gone, thrown away. Like it was like I was supposed to only focus on music, so I just did that for 4 years. But somehow even through that, like I knew. Like I loved music. I was first horn, so obviously I was good at what I was doing. Like so, I became passionate about it because I was doing it every day, and I liked my friends, and I liked being able to go out and play concerts and stuff like that. And so, which was weird because I did really like it, and we would make songs, but somewhere inside of me, I knew that I don't know, like this wasn't for me. Like I was like I knew, even though I was really good at what I did and I liked it. I knew that no, I think I still want to be an artist, right? Even though I wasn't drawing, I wasn't sketching, I wasn't doing anything. And then like, you know, and when I looked for a college, I looked for an art college, not a music college, you know. And so when I went to college, it was like, oh shoot, like yeah. And then that kind of helped me to realize that this was the right choice, right? Like I was like, I knew. So I guess when you are passionate about something, even when you do, like you know step away from it, and then like you know 4 years, that's a long time to not do something that you're passionate about. But if it's truly something that's like innate or something that you like know and that is for you, I think you'll be just drawn to it. Like and then when you get back into it, like it's just like the fire comes back on, the muscle memory comes back on, and you just like fully into that, you know. So thank you to Artifacts. I think that was a really, really good question. We were kind of going on. And thank you, Steven.
Yeah. Can I go now?
Get to work.
Get to work. So
All
thank
right.
you guys. And like as we always say, so the foundation is important, right? Shtajio ga
Shtajio ga
daiji.
daiji. See you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye.